In this example, you are the owner of Dick's Sporting Goods, and you have three customers that they're buying different sporting goods from your store. So let's draw a diagram. You have three customers. Let's call them John, Tim, and Sarah. John spends $100 at your store. Tim spends $200. And Sarah, she spends $500. And all of them pay using their credit cards, and their transaction fees that are charged by the financial institution for those transactions. So John's bank charges 2%, Tim's bank charges 3%, and then Sarah's bank charges 5%. And those transactions go through their financial institutions to your bank, which is Bank of America. And they're credited to your account. So the question is, what is the net amount that's credited to your account after the transaction charges? So the first step is to compute the total transaction costs. So it'll be $100 times 2% plus $200 times 3%, and then $500 times 5%. That's equals to 2 plus 6 plus 25 equal to $33. The next question is, what is the net credited to your account? So you simply sum up the total paid by the customer, by John, Tim, and Sarah, and subtract the transaction cost. In this case, it will be $800, which is the total of the three amounts, minus $33. This is equal to $767. So now, the next question I might ask you is, what is the overall efficiency of this process from your sales, going from your sales to the net amount credited to your account? So the way I'm looking at it is you're going from net sales to your amount credited to your bank. So, what is the average efficiency of this process? So you can simply, one way to do that is to compute the average of these three costs and subtract that from 100. So the average cost is 2% plus 3% plus 5% divided by 3. That is 3.3%. So the efficiency would be 100 minus 3.3%. So that is 96.7%. The other way to do that is, you know the total amount credited to your bank, which is $767, and then the net amount that was paid by your customers, which was $800, multiply that by 100, and you get 95.9%. So the question is, which calculation makes more sense? So this number is only dependent on your percent charges. It does not take into account the total amount that John, Tim, and Sarah spent. This amount, 95.9%, this percent, takes into account the total amount that each person spent in addition to the percent charges. So I think this number is more informative. So it makes more sense to use this number. Okay, let's look at a second example. You are a student worker at Barnes & Noble's, and you want to your goal is to make $100 in a day. Goal is to make $100. It's your goal. Pretty ambitious goal, but I think you can do it. So their policy is if you work in the morning, they give you 5% of the sales. If you work in the afternoon, they give you 7% of the sales. And if you work the evening, they give you 10% of sales. And since you want to make $100 in a day, you decide to work for all 3 shifts. And let's say in the morning you sold $200 worth of supplies. In the afternoon, you had a big crowd and you sold $500 worth of supplies. In the evening, you forgot to keep track of your total sales, so you don't know how much you made in the evening. So the question is, how much will you have to make in the evening shift to get to your goal, which is $100, to get you $100. So let's do our calculation. So in the morning, they provide 5%, and you had a sale of $200. So in the morning, you made $10. In the afternoon, you were making 7%, and you sold $500 worth of books. So you made a total of $35. In the evening, you don't know what your sales is, but you know how much you will have, the amount you want to make. You want the total to be $100, right? The total of the 3 amounts to be $100. This is 45, so you have to make $55 in the evening to get to your goal of $100, right? So you know you want to make $55, and you know the rate is 10% times question mark x. So the x would be 55 divided by 10%. So your answer will be $550. So that's the total amount that you need to sell, that you need to in the evening session to get your goal of $100.